Like, a Drake could have easily had a Will Smith type of career. Like, if he just stayed rapping and then went off and did acting and had an acting discography. But he doesn't want to actually put in the work. He doesn't understand, hey, you can't go to Dr. Miami and buy therapy. You cannot buy shadow work. You cannot buy angelic numbers. You cannot buy soul. You cannot buy your flow state. These dudes, Drake, he does not understand that.
I used to want to be on Rockefeller, then I turned into Jay.
Sorry, Mr. Drizzy, for so much y'all talk. Silly me rapping about that I really bought.
And that's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike, but gotta AI him for your survival.
I had Benzes for you had braces.
My favorite rappers either lost it or they ain't alive.
Y'all kill X, let enemy live. Streets is done.
If you want to watch this video completely uncensored and uncut, make sure you head over to my Patreon. Link will be in the description. For just $2 a month, you get exclusive early access to videos uncut and exclusive Patreon only
So yeah, this
content
makes a
coming
lot of
soon.
sense, man.
Drake and Jay-Z both
Like, Kendrick, he had a lot of help behind the scenes. There's a lot of motherfuckers that did not like Drake. And I hate this narrative that everyone is just hating on Drake. He must have just slept with somebody's girlfriend. The Andrew Schultz and the DJ Academics narrative. Like, they're extremely childish, and they have this high school mentality. That maybe Drake is just an asshole. That's the reason why he has no new friends. And I'm getting tired of explaining this shit. I'm getting tired of constantly saying it over and over again, because you just already know they refuse to actually accept this information. They already have it in their mind that they're the victims. They're so caught up in being the victims that you can't say anything else. So let them be a victim. Fuck them.
love throwing subliminal shots, with Jay-Z being regarded as the king of subliminals. Drake has certainly proved himself worthy as being right there with Hove with the subliminal wars he's been involved in over the course of his career. How did these two actually end up in a subliminal battle? This beef has a couple of different reasonings behind it. The competitiveness of both Jay-Z and Drake is the common denominator to the beef, but something also was underlying. So let's take you back into the year of 2008. Drake was one of the most buzzing artists on the scene, dropping multiple mixtapes, which gained him a ton of buzz. Drake would eventually become the protege of the hottest rapper in the game at the time, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne and Jay-Z actually had a past history of beefing prior to this, which I covered in my video, Lil Wayne versus Jay-Z, What Happened. I recommend you watch that video to get a better understanding of this beef, because the two beefs are connected. By 2008, Jay-Z and Lil Wayne patched things up and seemed to be on good terms after some collaborations. After gaining a ton of buzz through mixtapes and on social media platform MySpace, Drake was discovered by James Prince Jr. Prince would introduce Lil Wayne to Drake, playing him some tracks which at first Weezy thought that Drake was garbage. Prince was persistent and kept playing Drake records to Wayne until eventually he wanted to speak to Drake. Prince put the two on the phone and a meeting was orchestrated.
Drake look corny as hell, man. But if Drake would just stay corny, though. Like, Drake could have easily had a Will Smith type of career. Like, if he just stayed rapping the way he does, make his Drake pop star shit, and then went off and did acting and had an acting discography, we would have respected Drake so much as an artist, not just even just as a musician. The same way we look at Kanye for his music and his fashion, Childish Gambino for his music and his film. We can look at you as a multifaceted artist. Michael Jackson was a multifaceted artist. Prince, everybody that you name, Beyonce, everyone he wants to compare himself to. But he doesn't want to actually put in the work. He looks at the physical of what's going on. He says, well, I can just mimic what they physically do. He doesn't understand, hey, you can't go to Dr. Miami and buy therapy. You cannot buy skill set. You cannot buy talent. You cannot buy God. You cannot buy shadow work. You cannot buy angelic numbers. You cannot buy soul. You cannot buy your flow state. And I don't know, man. These dudes, Drake, he does not understand that.
Quick side note, Drake had already established his own record label called October's Very Own, or OVO for short. In 2008, after their meeting, Lil Wayne invited Drake to join him on his The Carter 3 tour. While on tour, the two recorded multiple songs together. Eventually, Drake would sign to Young Money Entertainment and Cash Money under a joint venture. Drake would begin gaining a crazy amount of buzz, and after dropping his mixtape So Far Gone in February 2009, it was clear that Drake was next in line. During this time, Jay-Z was on one of his biggest runs commercially, gearing up for the third installment of the legendary Blueprint series. Jay-Z, being a highly competitive rapper, was definitely putting Drake on his radar during his major blow-up, so the two would link up to do a track together called Off That, which was set to be the first single off of the Blueprint 3. This unfortunately did not end up happening due to the track leaking, which Jay-Z would put the blame mostly on the producer of the track, Timbaland. On September 8th, 2009, Jay-Z dropped his album The Blueprint 3. The track Off That with Drake would appear on this album, marking their first ever official collaboration.
With over 50 years in the industry.
And this is crazy though. Like it's been going on for years, man, to even build up to this position. Like,
Drake didn't have an actual verse on the record, just performed in the chorus, which most fans would be disappointed with. Track 9, titled A Star Is Born, is Jay-Z chronicling all the artists he witnessed become stars in the rap game. On the second verse, he says that Drake is up next.
Drake's up next. See what he do with it.
A week later, on September 15th, 2009, Drake dropped the So Far Gone EP. On this was a track called Fear, and on the second verse, Drake says that he didn't cry when Pac died, but will probably cry when Hove does. Then goes on to say that Jay-Z taught him values. Drake has cited Jay-Z as one of his inspirations, and he widely considers Jay-Z to be the GOAT of hip-hop.
I never cried when Pac died, but I probably will when Hove does.
The next month, on October 31st, 2009, Jay-Z was at Much Music in Toronto, and when asked about Drake, he gave him some advice.
Okay, so Drake, amazing. I know that you're a fan. I know you've worked with him, and he speaks really highly of you. So, I mean, he is already at that point where he could blow up into craziness. So what do you wish that somebody would have told you at that point?
I just, he just needs to focus. I mean, he's proved that he's very talented, with that mixtape, which was phenomenal. He proves she likes it. He proved that he's very talented, so he just has to maintain that focus, because right now all the eyes are on him, and not lose that. And if he stay, I think he's gonna be fine. If he stays focused, he'll be fine.
Good things? Okay,
Yeah.
Next one more photo.
That same night, Drake and Jay-Z took to stage performing Drake's song Successful from So Far Gone. In December 2009, Drake did an interview with Wrap Up TV where he would reveal that he and Jay-Z did a song for his debut album called Light Up. The next year, on March 5th, 2010, Drake, along with Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, would take the stage at Jay-Z's Blueprint 3 concert at Madison Square Garden, when Jeezy would bring all three of them out. On June 15th, 2010, Drake dropped his debut studio album Thank Me Later, which would debut at number 1, selling over 470,000 copies in the first week, making Drake the hottest up-and-coming rapper in the world. Track 10, titled Light Up, features Jay-Z, and on his verse, he would warn Drake about what's going to happen to him when he's at the top of the game, saying that they're going to start beef with him to try and take his spot.
Drake, here's how they gon' come at you with silly rap views trying to distract you.
These lyrics aged extremely well, given that Jay-Z seemingly predicted what would happen to Drake later on in his career. Drake would speak on this collab in an interview with MTV News a week later.
The joint with you and Jay-Z on the album, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you know, I know you and Jay are cool, but it still has to be a little competitive when you go in and lay in your verse and him going his lane in his verse, because I know you trying to eat him up, you trying to eat you up.
Yeah.
Now, when you listen to his verse, you be like, woo, he's going in, or same thing with Jeezy's verse or Wayne's verse.
Yeah, usually when it's your album, you gotta do your verse first. It's kind of like rare that someone will send you a song and be like, get on my album.
Did you ever want to do your verse over and be like, you know what?
You know what, actually, my verse was way harder on Light Up before, and a song that I had used some, like I had done a song, and then the song was never supposed to, like nothing was supposed to happen with it, and it leaked. And then like the bars from that song were just so hard. It was a song with Big Sean, and those bars, like there were some bars on that song that fit so much better on Light Up. It made so much more sense. And like the last night before mastering, I had to go in and switch the first like 12 bars. So on Light Up, I lost my footing a bit. Jay came and killed me on that. Jay killed me. That's what I think anyway. Jay killed me on that. Like
he was upset. He was upset. He was upset on that record. Somebody pissed him off that day.
But it was just the conversations me and Jay have. He's so like intrigued by where my life is at, because it's almost like he's seeing it happen again for somebody else. So he was like, I'm just gonna tell you all I've learned. You know, and it was like a beautiful moment. I've really never heard Jay get that personal in a long time.
On the track called Thank Me Now, from that very same album, it's speculated that Drake threw some shots at Jay-Z. On the first verse, Drake says that eventually your idols become your rivals, then saying that you make friends with Mike, meaning Michael Jordan, but have to AI him for your survival. Drake is referring to when a rookie Allen Iverson crossed up his idol, Michael Jordan. Drake is referring to Jay-Z, who frequently refers to himself as the Jordan of rap, saying that he's going to have to be like AI and cross him up to stay on top, with both having that competitive mindset.
And that's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike, but gotta AI him for your survival.
Later that summer, Drake would bring out Jay-Z at the 2010...
And that's crazy, because they both are extremely good at subliminals. They're both really good at it. Like Jay-Z is the king of it. So Drake, he kind of took that from Jay-Z with the subliminal shots, man, for sure.
And OVO Fest in Toronto to perform Run This Town. That same summer, Drake would do an interview with Tim Westwood to announce that he and Lil Wayne were planning on dropping a collab album together. At this time, it wasn't really a big trend to do collab albums. It was more of a special occasion to see, but it would later become a huge thing in rap. In September of that year, Drake and Jay-Z would perform their track Light Up at the Yankee Stadium for the Home and Home tour. Later that year, Jay-Z and Kanye West would announce that they are working on a collab album together called Watch the Throne, with the Throne being Jay and Ye's name as a collective. In January of 2011, Drake would claim that they both stole that idea from himself and Lil Wayne after hearing his Tim Westwood interview.
I mean, you know that we still gotta do that album.
Yes, you've still got to do that
Some
album.
other guys are coming out with that album too. There's two other guys that are coming out together. Two other rappers that are coming out with an album together. I don't know where they got that idea, but...
That same month, on January 11th, 2011, the first single
Drake, shut your corny ass up, man.
from Watch the Throne dropped called Ham, where Jay-Z infamously dissed Birdman for his comments claiming that Lil Wayne has more money than him. If you want to know exactly what happened behind that, I highly recommend you watch my Lil Wayne versus Jay-Z video to get a better understanding. It would be after this that Drake and Jay-Z's friendship would fall apart, because Drake would directly inherit this beef from Lil Wayne. Plus, at the same time, Drake and Kanye West were starting to have their own differences, so it was just a disdain and a competition on both sides of the camp. On May 20th, 2011, DJ Khaled dropped his track I'm On One with Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, and Drake. At the end of Drake's verse, it's speculated that he sent subliminal shots towards Jay-Z and Kanye, saying that the throne is for the taking, telling everyone to watch him take it, which is a clear reference to Watch the Throne.
I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking. Watch me take it.
Immediate speculation would begin circulating about this line, so Drake would take to Twitter that same day to deny that he was dissing Jay-Z. Hove diss? Hove, of all people, has not lost it. That's God Body Flow. That same day, as Drake was rolling out his second album, Take Care, he dropped a track called Dreams Money Can Buy on his OVO blog site. On this track, it's speculated that Drake sent more subliminals at Jay-Z. This track would eventually be re-released in 2019 on the compilation album Care Package.
And I feel like lately it went from top 5 to remaining 5. My favorite rappers either lost it or they ain't alive.
That summer, on August 29th, 2011, Lil Wayne dropped his album The Carter 4. On the track It's Good, featuring Drake and Jadakiss, Wayne would respond to Jay-Z's disses towards Birdman on Ham, where he would threaten to kidnap Beyonce and take out Jay-Z. Drake, on the other hand, would throw some shots towards Jay-Z as well, in defense of Lil Wayne and Birdman at the beginning of his verse.
Please pardon my brother, he's just angry at you who don't have your heart in your rap shit.
On November 11th, 2011, Drake would sit down with Billboard for an interview, and during the interview, he was asked about never winning a Grammy despite having 6 nominations at this point. In 2009, Drake's track Best I Ever Had lost to Jay-Z's track DOA. So in this interview, Drake speaks about how losing to Hove angered him. But the one that really got to me was when I lost to DOA for Best I Ever Had. That one to me was like, really? Not to say that Jay-Z isn't the most incredible rapper and that DOA wasn't a good song. I just felt like they had an option to give me a Grammy for a mixtape, and they just didn't do it, because it goes against the grain of everything that is traditional. On November 15th, 2011, Drake dropped his album.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't really care about these art awards, man. That's the reason why I love being an athlete so much. I could just easily point at the scoreboard. Say, look, I'm better than you because I'm better than you. So these conversations aren't even had, man.
Take Care. On the track The Ride, it's once again speculated that Drake took subliminal shots at Jay-Z.
Getting older, I see no threat in Yoda.
A couple of weeks later, Jay-Z would share a handwritten note on the OVO blog site congratulating Drake on selling 631,000 copies in the first week with Take Care, saying, quote, "Monster numbers comes in. Proud of your journey. Peace, Hove." After this, beef rumors would be quieted following Jay's comments, and things would settle down in 2012, and in 2013, Drake was gearing up for the release of his third album, Nothing Was the Same. Now by this time, Drake was just dominating. Everything he touched was a colossal hit record. On July 25th, 2013, Jay-Z did an interview with Elliott Wilson, where he would speak on his competition with Drake, saying that Drake's the Kobe Bryant to his Michael Jordan. There's a respect thing there, but there's also a competitive thing, and it's done in the right way. He's definitely the one that's reared his head as the guy. He's definitely Kobe Bryant. That August, Drake brought out Kanye at the 2013 OVO Fest, where Ye would say that him and Jay wouldn't have done Watch the Throne if it wasn't for Drake putting so much pressure on them by taking over the game.
And we wouldn't be able to make the music that we made. Me and Ho would have never made Watch the Throne if this wasn't putting pressure on us like that.
On September 24th, 2013, Drake dropped his album Nothing Was the Same. On the track Pound Cake, Jay-Z is featured. Now it is said that Jay-Z actually ended up sending Drake 2 verses that were set to appear on his album Magna Carta Holy Grail, but he decided to send it to Drake instead to put on Pound Cake. On the first line of his verse, Jay-Z actually dissed Drake when he said that he had Benzes before Drake had braces.
I had Benzes before you had braces.
On part 2 of the track called Paris Morton Music 2, Drake would seemingly respond to Jay's line. Later in the verse, he says that he studied the game from past artists like Jay-Z, but now he's doing it better.
Like I didn't study the game to the letter and understand that I'm not doing it the same and I'm doing it better.
That same day, Drake appeared on Hot 97 for an interview to speak on his album, and he spoke on Pound Cake and his relationship with Jay-Z. Drake would say that they have a great relationship and that Hov is a great mentor to him.
Rap.
So you have like built a nice relationship with him.
I mean, yeah, I think like one of the strongest, I think, if not the strongest.
Of all the other rappers?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Who knew?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's like he's just like an incredible mentor to me, and gives me great guidance and is very, very supportive. And
is that a new relationship, or were you guys always cool?
No, it's always been like that. You
really?
know, I mean, I think the more I make him proud, you know,
that's
I
so
think,
cute.
yeah, like, you know, the more I show him prove, like that, the like, you know, that's where the relationship grows. You know, it's just like the more he has to say to me, you know, and I've been consistent enough to sort of deserve or warrant advice from him.
Right.
And he gives it to me, you know, and he's just I saw him last night. He's like he's the best, man.
Pull them to their grave.
And it's so crazy, just in the retrospect, just listening to Drake consistently love bomb Jay-Z, the Rick Ross, the Kanye's. He consistently does this and then turn around and does a subliminal shit. Like, nah, I didn't mean it that way. So he can always play like a lawyer. It's almost like a lawyer.
He's just a solid dude.
Yeah, we like Hov up here.
Oh yeah,
so.
of course.
After this, it seemed as if everything was cool between the two, but that would be short-lived. Just months later, in February of 2014, Drake did an interview with Rolling Stone where he would take a jab at Jay-Z for having art references in his songs. It's like Hov can't drop bars these days without at least 4 art references. I would love to collect at some point, but I think the whole rap/art world thing is getting kind of corny. Now, Drake of all people calling you corny is just crazy, so of course, Jay-Z was not going to go for this. The next month, on March 23rd, 2014, Jay-Z and his Rock Nation protege, Jay Electronica, dropped a freestyle over Soulja Boy's We Made It beat. Now, this in itself was a shot at Drake, because in late 2013, Drake did his own version over this exact beat. On his verse, Jay-Z would directly respond to Drake's comments in his Rolling Stone interview, where he would apologize to Drake for the art references, but calls him Mrs. Drizzy.
Sorry, Mrs. Drizzy, for so much y'all talk. Silly me rapping about that I really bought. Why these rappers rap about guns they ain't shot.
A week later, on April 1st, 2014, Drake would drop a track called Draft Day, which is dedicated to the then rookie football star, Johnny Manziel. On this track, it's speculated that he clapped back at Jay-Z with some subliminals.
I think I'm on my 8th flow, just watch me paint flow. We all do it for the art, so I can never hate though.
Later that month, during an NBA playoff game between the Toronto Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets, which of course Drake, hailing from Toronto, supports the Raptors, and Jay-Z, being from Brooklyn, supports the Nets. During an encore interview, Drake would send more shots at Jay-Z, saying, "This is the people's team out here tonight. You know what I mean? Toronto Raptors." Jay-Z somewhere eating a fondue plate. On May 13th, 2014, DJ Khaled dropped the track They Don't Love You No More with Meek Mill, French Montana, Rick Ross, and Jay-Z. On his verse, Jay-Z clapped back at Drake for his disses on his track Draft Day.
Haters wanna ball, let me tighten up my drawstring. Wrong sports boy, you know you're soft as a lacrosse team.
Fast forward to February 13th, 2015, Drake dropped his album If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. And on the track 6 p.m. in New York, he sent more subliminal shots towards Jay-Z, saying that he should be the third member of the Throne duo.
You rapping like the throne should be the 3 of y'all.
That same year, in 2015, Jay-Z would announce the relaunch of his newly bought streaming service called Tidal. At the launch announcement, a bunch of big names were on stage, except for Drake. That's because it was reported that Drake turned down Jay's offer to partner with Tidal. According to Billboard, Drake was supposed to be one of the many celebrities that signed on for joint ownership of Tidal at a star-studded launch ceremony back in March, but he dropped out as late as 2 days before the event. Drake seemingly rejected the offer
Foxy, man.
because he did not want to be under Jay-Z and would end up signing a $19 million deal with Apple, which was a direct competitor of Tidal. In the summer of 2015, Drake and Meek Mill would be engaged in a beef, prompting Drake to drop a diss track called Charged Up on July 27th, 2015. On this track, he speaks about signing the deal with Apple and throws shots at Jay-Z's Tidal, keeping in mind that Meek Mill is a Roc Nation artist. Drake uses the word entitled to do a play on Tidal.
I'm trying to take the high road. I still got love for my idols. I got me a deal with Apple and I still feel entitled.
On January 31st, 2016, Drake would start off the year dropping a track called Summer 16. On this track, Drake took a really disrespectful jab at Jay-Z.
I used to want to be on Rockefeller, then I turned into Jay.
A couple of months later, on April 5th, 2016, Drake would drop his album Views. That same day, he dropped the track called Pop Style, along with One Dance as singles promoting the album. The tracks were released for exclusive digital download on iTunes. On the single version of the track, Pop Style features the duo of Kanye West and Jay-Z, listed as The Throne. On this track, Jay-Z just did a single line, not a verse. Now on the album itself, Drake did his own version of the track, leaving Jay-Z and Ye off it. Drake would later explain why Jay-Z only had a single line on the track the next month in an interview with Zane Lowe. Of course, people want to hear Jay-Z rap, so hearing him do 2 lines might be frustrating to a certain audience. That's just landed in my lap. I just dealt with it accordingly. It didn't play out how I wanted it to as far as business or whatever goes, so I figured it would be easier to go with my version. Sometimes we just fall on opposite sides of the spectrum. It's always mutual respect, but sometimes it has to be from afar. According to Kanye, at a show...
Hey man, this is what happens when you want the exact same thing. You gotta compete with each other, especially in the artistic world. It's almost like politics. So you have to do the subliminals, but at the same time you're still trying to compete. So this is what ends up, man. A bunch of petty bullshit.
During his St. Pablo tour in October of that year, the track was scrapped from Drake's album due to streaming politics with Apple and Tidal, also out of respect for Meek Mill.
But then it went out of that territory, went into some Tidal, some political, about percentages on songs.
That summer, on June 26, 2016, DJ Khaled dropped his track I Got the Keys with Future and Jay-Z. Throughout the track, Jay-Z took more subliminals at Drake. On the first verse, he opened up responding to Drake's Summer 16 jab, saying that he can't be him until he owns his masters.
It's always asking me the key. Till you own your own, you can't be free. Till you own your own, you can't be me.
On the second verse, he once again sent subliminal shots at Drake.
In real life, they like me. In real life, I'm like, no.
A couple of months later, on October 23rd, 2016, Drake and 21 Savage dropped their track Sneakin', and on his verse, Drake sent subliminals at Jay-Z for saying that he has to own his masters to be like him. He says that Jay didn't own his masters right away, which is true because Jay-Z didn't own his masters until 2015, so Drake says to have some patience and he'll be right there with him.
You ain't on it right away, you had to wait on us. Man, I'm only 29, had some patience with us.
A couple of months later, on February 12th, 2017, DJ Khaled dropped the track Shining with Jay-Z and Beyonce. On his verse, Jay-Z sent subliminal shots back at Drake once again, referencing the Summer 16 record.
12 solo albums all platinum. I know you ain't out here talking numbers right. I know you ain't out here talking summers right.
Later that year, in November 2017, Jay-Z was on his 444 tour, and he decided to pay homage to Drake, remixing his tracks Know Yourself and KMT, while Drake was actually in attendance in Toronto. After this, people would think that the beef would be squashed, as the two appeared to be on good terms. The next year, on June 29th, 2018, Drake dropped his album Scorpion, and on the track Talk Up, Jay-Z would be featured. One line in particular I want to mention was at the very end of Jay's verse. He talks about killing X, which is a reference to the murder of the late rapper XXXTentacion. Drake has been heavily speculated to have allegedly had something to do with X's murder, so I find it funny that Jay mentioned this here. It's also been said that Hove recorded his verse while in Europe for the On the Run 2 tour days before the album's release, and X was killed 11 days prior.
Y'all kill X, let enemy live. Streets is done.
On that album was a track called Survival, where Drake would reference how he's trading shots with the GOAT, which is referring to Jay-Z, and how they talked about their subliminal beef.
Taking shots with the GOAT and talking about shots that we send it.
The next month, while Jay and Beyonce were still on their On the Run 2 tour, they stopped in Detroit, where Drake and Jay-Z would link up, being photographed by Roc Nation Senior Vice President Lenny S. This would mark their first time being photographed together in over 5 years. In December of 2019, Drake did his infamous Rap Radar interview, where he would speak on his beef with Jay-Z.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We smoke. But you like the sparring, though, you know, because, like, you say you take shots with the GOAT. You talk about the shots that you sent with Jay-Z. Like, why has that relation remained intact? Why has it never gone left?
I think Jay has a lot of respect for me, and he's aware of the massive amount of respect that I have for him at the end of the day. And I think we both enjoyed our moments of, you know, him, you know, checking the young boy and me trying to be like, nah, I'm here, you know, like.
After this, nothing else happened, and in late 2021, on Drake's album Certified Lover Boy, Jay-Z was featured on the track called Love All.
In fact, Jay and Drake are extremely alike. Like, you can tell they are extremely alike. Like, they keep going back to that Kobe, Michael Jordan situation. So, they have a lot of similarities. Yeah, so this beef was bound to happen, man, for sure.
Who do you think had the upper hand in this subliminal?
Especially to the way you can easily tell Drake wants to be in that position. Drake wants to be Jay-Z. Even with the Rihanna situation, Drake would have loved to have his Beyonce, to have that Ken and Barbie type relationship that Jay-Z and Beyonce have. That's exactly what Drake was trying to build. He was trying to build Jay-Z's empire. So, man, shout out to John Anthony HD, man. Shout out to the video, man.